Taekz episode 4. That was supposed to be me throwing it to Jason because I don't even know what we're going to talk about to start this episode. So, Jason, do you want to tell us what
Oh,
we're going to talk about?
oh, yeah, no. Well, we're always going to start with the Eagles, I feel like. But
I
first
don't.
of all,
I don't
that
know
was
who that
fun.
is. The band?
Yes, the Eagles.
Actually, fun fact. Before we get into the
I love
Philadelphia
Hotel
Eagles,
California.
okay, did you know that the Eagles have that their greatest hits is the greatest selling album of all time?
Really?
It's that
Wow.
and Michael Jackson's Thriller both have sold 27 million copies.
Also,
How the fuck is that possible?
Smash Mouth's album with All Star on it.
Yeah,
Another one.
walking on the All Star Sun.
Yeah, no, that's a great song.
Shrek soundtrack.
That's true rap. They rap about important things. That's all you know.
It's funny that Smash Mouth went from making corny, shitty pop rock to then literally just covering old songs for Shrek movies. Literally, that was
It'd
it.
be really poor unless we can work on Shrek with you. And they're like, I guess, come on, let's do
Mike
it.
Myers is just a huge Smash Mouth fan.
All right. So anyway, speaking of Shrek, the Eagles.
Yeah. Fluke win, or was it a real win?
Well, you're gonna say it's a fluke win every time they win.
It's a real win against a bad team.
Yeah, the Saints are really bad. I said going into the last week, I had a feeling that was going to happen just because I think the Saints are terrible. Like their defense is
It's real.
abysmal, like
Probably worse
really
than the
bad.
league.
I mean, realistically, the Eagles should have scored 50 points in that game.
Yeah. We left points on the board for sure by turning the ball over twice in the red zone. Which
In the end zone, not even just the red zone, in the end zone.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll get there. But I don't think it was a fluke win. I think the Eagles are a much better team than the New Orleans Saints. They have a better roster. They have a better. I don't know if they have a better coach, but they seem to have a better coach.
Currently, better coordinators.
Better coordinators. They were at home. You know, they did what they were supposed to do. I had no faith in them, but that doesn't mean I didn't think they were the better team.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good win. I don't know how much is it a precursor for the rest of the year, though. I thought DeMarco Murray still really struggled. I thought that against the Saints, too. So I don't know.
He did.
Yeah.
Um,
He definitely did.
the thing about this team is I feel like they're the kind of team that they have the talent that they can put together a great game any given Sunday and beat almost any team, but they're also just weird enough where they can lose to any team as well, like they did to the Redskins. They could do the Bucks, but it's good that they put it together last Sunday at least.
Yeah.
When you talk about playing down to the competition level, I don't even think that's the case. I just think that like what you said, Austin, about like it just seems like they could play like if the Eagles were playing the Patriots this week, I don't think they would win. Definitely don't think they would win.
No.
But do I think that the Patriots would blow out the Eagles? I don't know. I think that the Eagles could give them a game, and I think that the Patriots are the best team in the NFL. So I look at it like I think that every week they're going to have a shot. But it's really just about getting good matchups. This happened to be an amazing matchup. Rob Ryan, I mean, as we've talked about,
How does he still have a job?
it's amazing that he continues to con his way into jobs.
Like I said, he's the Spike Askin of defensive coordinator. He has a job because of his dad.
It really is true. It really is true.
Does Spike also have a brother that is really good at broadcasting?
Probably.
Oh,
He
okay.
shipped to a different state.
Because Rex is a good coach, so.
Yeah. Also, it's very obvious. This is how the Eagles work, and this is how they work for years now. Ready? If the Eagles are running ahead of you, so they're not running at the end of the game or some meaningful runs, if they can run on you, they're going to blow the fucking doors off of your team. You don't have a shot. If they can't, they'll probably lose a close game. There's some blowouts mixed in. Denver in the best season, maybe offensive season ever, they blew us out. And
Also,
stuff.
that was Chip Kelly's, third game.
Overall, you can see.
And not even his team.
Ball, they have to dink and dunk, and it doesn't look good. But when Ryan Matthews was clipping off 9 yards of carry on those few drives, I mean, it was like a knife through butter. It was nothing. They'll blow the doors off any team if they can run the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we've talked about it. It seems like so far Ryan Matthews is just a better fit for this team. He hits the hole much faster than DeMarco Murray. He can break tackles, and when you have a patchwork offensive line like the Eagles do, You need players that can do that. That's why Darren Sproles has succeeded over the past few years. You know, he can catch out of the backfield. He can break tackles. You know, and these are the things we have yet to see out of DeMarco Murray. I don't know.
Are we even sure that DeMarco's not, or that Ryan Matthews is not a better running back than DeMarco Murray, period? I know that's going to be a real hot take, but think about it this way. We were watching the Steelers-Chargers game on Monday night, and they highlighted how many offensive linemen that Philip Rivers has had since like 2009. It was like 35 linemen or something.
It was ridiculous, yeah.
2011, 12, something like that. It was a lot of linemen, more than any other player in the league, and he hasn't been healthy. So I feel like that went into a lot of what.
I think the 1 year he was healthy too. He ran for like 1,200 yards.
I mean, I think, but I think the one thing about DeMarco that
he looks slow.
Take away last season. Yeah, but here's the thing: take away last season, the Cowboys had a great offensive line, and I agree he does. But the Cowboys had a great offensive line last year. But take away last season, it's not like they've had this offensive line for his entire career. He always looked good when he was healthy. He always did.
Good running back. I think he may be better than Ryan Matthews, but I think we're very quick to dismiss the fact that Ryan Matthews just might be a better running back. Everyone's like, well, in the system is this. Get the ball, hit the hole, and get as many yards as you can. This is a no-frills system. This isn't, this is shotgun, ball, find the hole, and just zoom right out of it. I mean, that's it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't really buy into the whole system when it comes to running backs. If it's a quarterback, if it's a wide receiver, if there are certain things, I definitely just think, I think that skill tends to win out when it comes to running backs. But at the same time, we have a very small sample size. I think DeMarco Murray will get better as the season goes. I think that Ryan Matthews has looked great, and I think that he will continue to. I hope he does. And then, Sproles has been consistent too. I don't know. I think that if Murray can continue to make progress, they definitely have the best backfield in the NFL.
And the other thing with DeMarco, to be fair for him, the offensive line hasn't been consistent. Last week was the first decent game they put up. I feel like it's a whole rhythm thing with the running game. It's different than the passing game. Well, it's different. They both are a rhythm thing, but once he's in sync and realizes what his lineman can do, I feel like he'll do better as well.
Yeah, he might be playing scared a little bit, jumping around.
He's trying to do too much, I think. That's what it seems like to me.
He could still be injured, too. He looks a little tight, so he runs a little bit of hesitation, and that extra 2 seconds that Ryan Matthews doesn't wait, he's picking up 6 yards of carry, and DeMarco Murray's picking up 2. It's really remarkable, actually. Remarco Murray.
All right, so moving on to past the Saints game.
How come you want to bench Bradford? He's the worst quarterback that's ever lived. Nick Foles looks better. And then in the second half, I'm like, wow, is there a better quarterback? Maybe Joe Montana, but, I don't understand.
That's the thing that's so weird with him. When he's throwing dimes, he looks like Tom Brady. He throws great passes when they're good, and when they're bad, you're like, what the hell is he thinking?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's the real guy? Or is he just a combination of both, and you're never going to get a consistent guy?
Well, realistically, we were all tearing into Bradford in the first half, but at the same time, really had 2 bad passes, 1 awful pass.
Yeah.
And I agree, any quarterback should make that throw, but take that away, and he drove him down the field and the majority of those drives were passes too. So, the running game didn't really get going early. It was, later in the game when they were able to run the ball a lot more effectively. So, we've seen progress every single week out of him. In the Jets game, he looked In the Redskins game, he really started to throw the ball downfield. In this game, he looked confident. Don't even take away the 2 interceptions. Count the 2 interceptions. You got 2 red zone drives early, and then he ends up getting 2 touchdowns at the end. Had a few more scoring drives. I think that he is moving forward. I think he is who he is. He is a middle of the road quarterback, but there are moments where he's going to show brilliance like he did the other day.
And he's trending upwards too, and that's the thing. Yeah. It shows brilliance. That's when they can win any game. If he's playing well, when he's at the top of his game, they could beat anybody.
Agreed.
Another issue, though, and this is becoming a huge issue, is the drops. Do we even have a fucking wide receivers coach? What is he doing? Is he telling him to, it's better if you lock your hands like this when you're trying to catch it, and you go like this. That's how you should be catching all the ball.
It's weird that Jordan Matthews is the one that's doing it, because I felt like all of training camp it was like, Here's Jordan Matthews catching a pass with one fingernail.
Yeah, I know. And the running back too, though. Darren Sproles normally sure-handed. Ryan Matthews decent at catching. Aguilar's had some drops. Ertz has some drops. It's everybody, and they're not doing Bradford any favors.
And maybe it's a thing with Bradford too, because maybe they're just not used to how hard his passes come in.
I don't know.
The Nick Foles lollipop passes.
Yeah, but Mark Sanchez throws a harder ball than anybody like in the NFL. So.
And also, I know John had said this before. In St. Louis, it was the same thing. Receivers dropping passes. When Bradford was throwing him at. But at the same time, going into last week, the Rams led the NFL in drops. So I don't know, like where is it? Like who is at fault here? You know what I mean?
I don't think Jordan Matthews is this bad. I think it's in his head right now. I feel like he'll get better, but right now he's just having a string of bad games.
Yeah.
Horrible.
All of the second-year wide receivers are really struggling this year. Look around, except for Beckham, but Beckham's maybe the best ever. But Mike Evans struggling, Sammy Watkins is struggling. Actually, Allen Robinson looks pretty good, but he's
been solid, but he hasn't lived up to the expectation of what Allen Hurns leads the team in catches, yards, and touchdowns. So
Allen basically
he's a second-year wide receiver too, though.
Yeah, but he wasn't. I'm talking about like a first, second round guy.
Yeah, he was.
Devontae Adams can't get on the field.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is hurt, so dude, too soon. But
that was Watkins too.
Overall, felt good about this past week. Good teams beat bad teams, so hopefully the Eagles are a good team.
Do you think after this big win that Chip will go back to college?
I think he's going to take both USC jobs, and then he also on the side he's going to coach at Texas.
I think he's going to take the Monmouth job. If you remember, he had a practice there once this year, and I think that he really wants the Monmouth County Community College job, unless, I don't know, maybe it's a university, who knows or cares. But
wow.
It's just important that every time a college opening opens up now, you need to make sure that Chip Kelly's the first one in line.
I think
definitely going back to college.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I think anybody who reports, even Chip Kelly as an option right now, shouldn't be ever allowed to tweet ever fucking again. Like Adam Schefter, you're no longer allowed to tweet anymore because you said something so stupid that people are getting nosebleeds.
The funny thing is that the two coaches that have gone back to college after being in the NFL actually had a good amount of success in the NFL. It's not like I failed in the NFL, so now I'm going to go back to not the Chip. Chip Kelly's also had a fair amount of success.
Why do people bring up Saban though? Everyone's like, well, look what Saban did. I'm like, the reason Chip's not going to go back is for the same reason that Saban did go back, and that it was he wanted full control over the team. He wanted to be able to sign Drew Brees, and they told him no.
And also, didn't Saban go 9-7 in his only season?
Yeah, he had a decent season.
Was it 1 or 2 years that he coached there?
I think he coached there for 1 year, and then he went back to Alabama.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what they deserve, because they could have had Drew Brees, and instead, I don't know who they got, Cleo Lemon or something.
Dante Culpepper.
They did get Dante Culpepper. Yeah, I think they did. Which you have to do that. You have to sign washed-up Dante Culpepper.
They traded for him. They traded a pick for him.
Oh, Jesus.
Dude, I think a cat just climbed into your window, man.
Yeah, that's my cat.
Wow, bro. That's
fucked up.
We have 5 cats.
I didn't even know you could have a tiger as a pet, but I guess here we are. So
okay. So are we going to talk about the Giants game? Or what are we going to do here?
I wanted to cover one more thing really quick. This isn't Eagles, though, but do you give a shit that D'Angelo Williams is not allowed to wear pink stuff for the rest of the year, only during the special? Does it bother you that the NFL doesn't let players do that?
I think it's a little bit ridiculous to me because it's like, okay, we're gonna do it for, as they've been exposed for, doing it for profiting reasons. They're not doing it for the right reasons. So if a player wants to do, or the thing Austin sent us earlier about the guy who had the
dad's nickname on his eye black.
Yeah, to honor that. If players want to do that, honestly, who the fuck cares? Just let them do it. Fucking I don't know. It seems a little bit not only is it hypocritical, it's a little bit like a dictatorship to me. It's I don't understand why you're
I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it at all. In fact, I don't care if the NFL comes out and says the NFL players have to wear their jerseys backwards. I'd be like, well, you signed up to play in this league, and this is like I can't go into work wearing what I want to wear. I got to wear, their attire. That's the same thing here. I don't like that they exploit women for, over when, number one, it looks like shit. Number two, they get to keep all the profits, and they ignore, domestic abuse.
Violence,
well,
yeah.
they crack down on players smoking marijuana. Like, who cares? That all is way worse to me than, like, at the end, so listen, I'm sorry, bro. You're in the NFL. If you want to go, like, do a bunch of stuff for your mom, I think that's really cool. And hopefully the Steelers will help you out. But, like, on Sundays, you can't wear pink cleats. Sorry. I think it's fine.
The only thing that bothers me about it is that they cut down on everything. They don't let the players celebrate. They can't. They just try to take away individuality, and it's
that's the whole thing. Is when I say it's a dictatorship, it's not only what they're wearing. It's everything about the game has become this ridiculous. Like it's just you're taking all the fun out of it. It's a game. Like you're taking all the fun out of it to me. Like. Okay, it's one thing if, Jason, you don't think you should be able to wear, pink cleats. Okay, that's one thing, right? It's a dress code. But, like, everyone already wears that shit under their eyes. He wrote something on it. What the fuck does it matter?
That one is probably a little bit more. I was talking about mostly, like, he wants to wear a different color than the uniform. I can see why the NFL will be like, no, you cannot do that for any reason. Because once you open up that door, then everyone's going to be like, well, I really love seals, and their color is yellow, so now I have to wear, a yellow face mask the entire game, and, whatever bullshit that is. But I agree, the Cameron Hayward thing is fucked up.
Yeah, it all just seems very strange to me. Austin, what is going on at your apartment, dude?
My cat's playing with everything.
Yeah, dude, it sounds like your cat is dying in your dishes.
Bring it.
He just killed his cat. That's fucked up.
He named his cat Foles, actually, which is ironic.
Does your cat know about the internet? Does your cat know about Twitter?
My cat's on Twitter. I have a Twitter account for every one of my cats.
Wait, how many do you have?
What? I have 5 cats.
Wait, are you being serious?
Yeah.
In your apartment, you have 5 cats?
I don't live in an apartment.
Are you at home?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. He has 5 cats in his house. Just to let you know. My girlfriend's sitting here and she's internally screaming, basically.
Like cats, or she loves cats.
She loves cats, and I do not like cats because I'm a normal human being.
He likes to murder. That's what it is.
All right. So, what are we talking about next, Jason? You gotta tell us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we talk about the Andy Reid game to lead into our list, or save that for later?
Yeah. I do want to talk about this. How fucking perfect was that Andy Reid loss? Was that vintage? All those losers like Steve Mariucci, who were like scolding Philly fans, like, you're gonna wish you had never been born once Andy Reid's gone.
Be careful what you wish for, Philadelphia. Chris Berman did that too.
The worst.
Well, it's funny because if you think about every former player now, if you think about it, every former player and coach from the Eagles outside of, I guess, but here's the thing. LaShawn McCoy hasn't done anything for the Bills. He's been hurt. They're the only team that has a better record.
Yep.
No, the Colts too. But the Colts are fucking lucking into wins. I mean, they're 3-2.
No pun intended.
Well, not really. He hasn't been playing. So, 3-2.
Hasselbacking in the wins.
Austin,
hold on.
The Flyers scored, so that's good news. We're
nice.
Anyway, keep going. 1-0.
So, okay. The Bills are 3-2. The Colts are 3-2. But the players haven't really had much of an impact that have left the team. The Rams are now 2-3. Their only 2 wins come in their division. The other 3 come outside of the division. The Chiefs are 1-4. The Redskins are 2-3.
Evan Mathis is undefeated, but he's playing horribly.
Yeah.
But
playing well.
Yeah. Actually, no. I've heard he has not.
I heard he's really struggled.
Yeah.
I don't know how offense has struggled.
He's got week. He's been okay. He's also playing with arguably the worst offensive. Well, that's not true. But he's playing with pretty pitiful offensive line talent. He's definitely anchoring the line as a guard. That's not what you want.
True. And also,
my
he's a
friend
really
just
shitty
heard
quarterback.
the Flyers goal song. And he's like, what the hell is this shit? Worse than Fall Out Boy, somehow. But anyway.
No, I can't even. We'll have to dedicate a whole show to that. I can't stand the Flyers goal song and what they're doing over there, but I'm not getting into that. It's not even. But anyway, back to Andy really quick.
These are the pressing issues on hot takes.
I think Andy Reid by the end, was one of the worst coaches in Philadelphia sports history. That's how bad I think he was at the end. I think he was the worst GM and the worst coach the combo together. Ray Rhodes wasn't as bad as Andy Reid was at the end. I mean, it was horrific. And I don't understand why people even, everybody internally was like, can we just be done with Andy? And then the outside media was always like, how dare you? Are you seeing this with, 3 wins? It's no better.
He made an offensive line coach the defensive coordinator. What else do you have to see?
The moment he did that, he should have been put in prison. That was ridiculous. That was a joke. But anyway, since we're talking about Andy Reid, our list this week is going to be the 5. I did 5. Is that what you did, Austin?
Yeah, I did 5 too.
Okay. The 5 worst Andy Reid picks. And so I'll let you start. The 5 worst Andy Reid in the draft.
And it was tough. I have a lot of honorable mentions because picking the 5 worst Andy Reid picks is like deciding on the 5 worst decisions George W. Bush made as president. There's so many to pick from.
He kept us safe, though, so.
What about doing 9/11?
Probably his worst decision. In my humble opinion. But, so I broke it into categories. I did 1 defensive back, 1 front 7 guy,
Okay.
one skill position, 1 offensive line, and then my final guy. So, my honorable mentions for defensive backs were Curtis Marsh, Nate Allen, Trevard Lindley, Macho Harris, Sean Considine, and Matt Ware. I also tried to stay towards the top of the draft because it's not fair to 6th, 7th rounders. Most of these guys are 4th and higher.
Yeah.
But the worst of defensive backs was Jaquan Jarrett. How can you draft somebody from Temple in the 2nd round?
How can you draft somebody from Temple? Period. That's the end of that.
And after Jaquan Jarrett went, Justin Houston and Randall Cobb were picked shortly thereafter. just to dig in the knife a little bit deeper.
Wait, who went right after that?
Randall Cobb and Justin Houston. And they're both
Justin Houston? I mean, Randall Cobb's good, but I think Aaron Rodgers makes it better. But Justin Houston, that is unexcusable.
It hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially because, Danny Watkins was the first pick that year. Spoiler alert, he comes later.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Yeah.
I figured he was up there.
So my honorable mentions for the front 7 guys, Brian Smith, Quentin Caver, Barry Gardner, Jamal Green, Victor Biamiri, Trevor Laws, Matt McCoy, and Chris Gokon. But the worst of all of them...
Dunk, Andy! What is that fucking garbage that you gave us? He had picks a year. He gave us literal shit every single year.
But the worst one of all, to me, is Daniel Teo Nashem.
Yeah.
Who won? They picked Brandon Graham earlier in the draft, so he didn't need another defensive end. They drafted some guy nobody ever heard of. I remember right after he was drafted, they called him. They're like, "What were you doing when you were drafted?" They were like, "I was staring at my ceiling." He was a weird guy. And the guys who went after Daniel Teo Nashem were Navarro Bowman, Jimmy Graham, Eric Decker, Geno Atkins, Cam Chancellor, and Antonio Brown.
With that Andy Reid, you know why Andy Reid liked him? Because he was undersized, high motor, high football IQ, maybe even a coach's son.
And most of those guys I just named also went after, I believe, Alex Henry, who's not on my list. But why the fuck would you ever draft a kicker?
Horrific.
You can find any kicker anywhere.
You could just take Caleb Sturgis whenever you want.
Anybody but Caleb Sturgis is a good kicker. Good enough kicker.
Oh my god.
Skill position, my honorable mentions were Reggie Brown, L.J. Smith, Todd Pinkston, Tony Hunt, Ryan Moats, Thomas DePay, Billy McMullen, and Nate Brown.
I'm confused. He wasn't... Did he draft all these guys, though?
Drafted every one of these guys.
But was it him? Was he the GM?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure how much say he had, but I believe he had the most say for all these.
Okay, I just wanted
He
to.
was the GM between 2006 and 2011. Was when was really his time to shine. If you want to know the truth, and I'll read off some other ones before we sign off tonight. Just some of the other draft picks that we didn't mention that were just bullshit.
But the worst one of the skill positions, I say, is Freddie Mitchell.
Yes.
And he wasn't the worst player of all of them, but right after Freddie Mitchell, Reggie Wayne, future Hall of Famer, Chad Johnson, bunch of Pro Bowls, Steve Smith, bunch of Pro Bowls, and Chris Chambers, too, who was a pretty solid player. And we got Freddie Mitchell, who did have one good play.
One play. Two plays. Two plays. The Cowboys won that game.
The Cowboys one was nice, too, but 4th and 26 is one of the greatest plays in Eagles history.
Yeah.
That was mainly McNabb, but still.
Of course it was McNabb. McNabb was awesome.
Number 2, offensive linemen, Mike McGlynn, Winston Justice, Bobby Williams, and Max Jean-Gillis. But worst of all is Danny Watkins.
Yeah.
And I didn't even name the guys who went after him because I would take any one of them because they weren't 37 years old when they drafted him. Even if Danny Watkins was good, he would have been good for 2 years.
That pick was one of the moments in my life. Like, you know where you were during 9/11. I know exactly. Sitting at the bar watching that pick. I literally thought I had died. I was like, you literally gotta be kidding me. I thought that at some point Andy had signed with a different team and was trying to destroy the Eagles on purpose. Like, you can make an argument that he actually was getting paid by a different organization, the Giants and the Cowboys or whoever hates the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe the NFL, I don't know. But he purposely was taking the worst players. I don't understand.
In fairness, Danny Watkins went to school with his dad, with Andy Reid's dad. So he owed it to him. Yeah, because he was a little bit older. He was old enough to be Andy Reid's dad when he picked him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but the good news is Danny Watkins found his true calling right now as a firefighter. Like, fuck you, dude. You just could have done that in the beginning and saved us all the embarrassment of you pretending to block, but really, you're crying on the inside. Wow.
And then he didn't just draft the bad player who was young, like he usually did.
Yeah. Yeah, this time he's like, listen, I'm going to draft the same pile of shit, but this time he's going to be old enough to get Social Security. So, enjoy, Philadelphia.
But my worst pick of all was Kevin Cobb. And he wasn't the worst player of all of them, but when you drafted Kevin Cobb, he still had McNabb. He was still winning. You could have gotten somebody to help bulk up the team and make another run for the championship, but instead,
Like Michael Vick?
Kevin Cobb.
Yes.
No, I said like Michael Vick. I mean, Vick came in and took his job immediately. So
I know. That's right. No, I think that's a great list.
And
great.
And it's okay to draft a quarterback sometimes for guys getting up there in age. If it's like the Aaron Rodgers situation, it worked out perfectly for Green Bay. A guy fell who was more talented. But this is Kevin Cobb, who nobody was like, who the fuck is Kevin Cobb? Once you draft Kevin Cobb, it was like, who's Kevin Cobb?
It was
Why did you draft a quarterback?
It was just a quarterback. It was Tyler Smith, this rando guy. That's what it was. I remember where I was for that too. Just, God, I hate Andy Reid so much. But anyway, this is my list. So number 5 on my list is Broderick Bunkley, which he wasn't the worst player, but he got unbelievably better when he went to New Orleans. And you know who was picked right behind him? Tom Bahali and Antonio Cromartie. And that's a first-round pick. That was one of the few first-round picks that Andy took. Because remember, we always used to trade out of the first round, which I'll highlight in a second. So we finally have a first-round pick, and he takes arguably the worst defensive tackle in the whole first round.
But that leads to a better question. Is Andy Reid a bad drafter, or just can he not develop talent, or is he just horrible at both? Because Broderick Bunkley got better.
We're going to get...
There are other guys, yeah.
Number 4 on my list, I have Kevin Cobb. Yeah, I mean, that was the one also where we traded out of the first round. We originally had pick number 26 in the draft, and Anthony Spencer went 26. He was good for many years. Now, remember, offensive linemen play forever, and what Andy Reid didn't do was ever draft a good offensive lineman. The current situation right now is an indictment of Andy Reid. I know
he drafted one good offensive lineman. Sean Andrews was a beast for a few years, and he went crazy.
He drafted a guy who couldn't handle the NFL. Don't you do meetings or anything? You can't tell that stuff. Like, how come no other teams are drafting guys that cry? You know what I mean? Like, why is it our team that's drafting guys that need their blankie when they have to go to sleep at night? Like, that's just Andy Reid's guy. But these are the people that we could have had at 26 and between where we picked Kevin Cobb. Anthony Spencer, Joe Staley, Ben Grubbs, who I know he struggles now, or maybe he got MRSA or something like that, but he was pretty good. Greg Olson. I know you had Brent Selleck then, but that's pretty formidable. And Eric Weddle was picked one pick behind Kevin Kolb.
Wow, they're all pretty nice players, and they're all not Kevin Kolb.
Even if they're not in the NFL anymore, they had legit reason to be in the NFL. Kevin Kolb does not need to be a borderline first-round pick. So, number 3, I have Trevor Laws, specifically Trevor Laws. Again, we traded out of the first round, and we traded from pick, I think we picked 19 to 47.
Him and Victor Amiri, too, should just be tied together because they're the same person.
It really is. But this is who we could have picked between Trevor Laws, where he was selected, and where we were originally supposed to go. Aqib Talib, Jeff Ota, Dwayne Brown, Jordy Nelson, Curtis Lofton, Matt Forte. All of these guys have played in the NFL. They have real reason to be in the NFL. People look at them as legitimate players. Instead, we got Trevor Laws, who he's basically Marcus Smith, really, and the amount that he accomplished. He was a horrible player. He didn't do anything, and he started consistently.
Remember that one Trevor Laws play?
No.
Me neither.
Exactly.
Didn't he have a fumble recovery once or something?
If it did, that's probably got stuck in his fat.
Yeah, I mean, he was another undersized defensive tackle. Like, you see Benny Logan, and it looks like, wow, Chip did homework. Chip has a reason for picking Benny Logan. He had a draft board. He was excited. You know, Jordan Hicks, there was a reason for that. He's gained some trust when it comes to that. I really, truly believe Andy Reid had no idea why he was picking these players. None. The second on my list you guys are going to love, and I know that it's kind of like an ongoing joke, but it's actually a huge fucking issue that this happened. We traded up, and we picked Brandon Graham over Earl Thomas. And I like Brandon Graham. I think Brandon Graham's a fine player. But when you don't have any safeties, and now you have one that's going to every Pro Bowl every single year, that's a huge issue. That's another time where Andy Reid took a pass rusher when we kind of had pass rushers. We needed a safety, and guess what? It ultimately burned us. That's a legit secondary, and that foundation started with Earl Thomas.
No, you can't ever say that, dude. Actually, I think that you have to just blindly say that Earl Thomas is bad and that Brandon Graham is good.
That's it. Oh, wow.
The one thing I will say about that pick, though, is that Earl Thomas would have been horrible here because he would have been coached by an offensive line coach. So Brandon Graham had no shot because he was being coached by an offensive line coach. And
I get
Reid forever.
That's still Andy Reid's decision. So the whole
thing, but eventually, I not only is it an Andy Reid decision, but I think over time, talent ends up winning out at a certain time.
Now listen, I like Brandon Graham, and I'm glad he's on the team. I think he's definitely our best pass rusher. I don't think Connor Barwin's really all that great. I think he kind of gets some fortunate sacks, but I think Brandon Graham certainly has a place on this team, but not over Earl Thomas. And we had an opportunity to make that happen, and we traded up. So we actually gave up assets to draft a guy that didn't come on for 4 to 5 years. And it's still, he's not having a great year. So what is he really? You know what I mean? He's not a dominant pass rusher. He's not Justin Houston. We didn't get the opportunity cost out of that. So that was my number 2. And then number 1, I actually couldn't decide. And so I picked the entire 2011 NFL draft.
That's fair.
I think that it's the worst draft that any coach has ever had in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it is. And I'm going to read it to you guys because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we go praising Andy Reid when we shouldn't praise Andy Reid ever because this is the type of bullshit that he gave you. This is 2011. Danny Watkins, Jaquan Jarrett, Curtis Marsh, Casey Matthews, Alex Henry, Dion Lewis, who didn't do shit here and all of a sudden is great. The one player we got rid of. Julian Vandervelde, Jason Kelsey, okay, one pick. Brian Roll, Greg Lloyd, Stanley Havili. Arguably, I don't know how many picks he had, but was it 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 picks in that draft. One player ended up being good for the Eagles. The other one has the most missed tackles through 5 weeks in NFL history on a different team. That is the worst draft in NFL history.
Casey Matthews?
Yes.
And the one thing with Casey Matthews
Who does he play for, the Vikings?
No, I was talking about missed tackles, Dion Lewis.
Oh, as in, okay, he's making people
But
miss.
also Casey Matthews probably just like the Lincoln missed tackles also.
And the one thing with Casey Matthews is he wouldn't have been that bad of a pick if they had him, because he was like a decent special teams player and stuff.
Yeah.
They drafted him in the starting middle linebacker right away, and it was the most embarrassing thing to watch I've ever seen.
Every single player in this draft wasn't like, it's not like, wow, we just overshot it, but he can start in the NFL.
Noted.
Except for Deion Lewis and Jason Kelsey is below NFL grade. They can't even be backups.
This is very important. I need to tell this right now. I remember when I was at home watching the Eagles draft Casey Matthews. I called Jason and I told him Jason was driving in his car, and he audibly screamed because he was so happy.
I was like,
he thought Casey Matthews was going to be Clay Matthews.
I didn't know what round it was, so I didn't know it was in the goddamn 4th round, and I thought, how the fuck did I know that Casey Matthews was going to be terrible? But here's the thing, I'm not paid to know that. Okay? I'm not paid to ruin. This is 2010. Brandon Graham, Nate Allen, Teo Nesheim, Trevard Lindley, Keenan Clayton, Mike Kafka, Clay Harbor, Ricky Sapp, Riley Cooper, Charles Scott, Jamar Chaney, Jeff Owens, Kurt Coleman. Dude, this is one pick in 2 drafts. 2009 was really the last good draft he had because he had Macklin and McCoy. But
and they're only 2 good players, too. It's not like
2 picks, but the
they're
rest
doing really well for other teams.
Cornelius Ingram, Victor Harris, Tupou, Brandon Gibson, Paul Faneca, Moise Foku. That is the type of direct that you get with Andy Reid. In the Kevin Cobb draft, Kevin Cobb, Victor Abiamiri, Stuart Bradley, Tony Hunt, C.J. Gaddis, Brent Selleck, there's your 1 pick. Rashad Barksdale, Nate Iola. I mean, this is consistently every single draft from 2006 to 2011.
For some reason, really weird, but he had 3 good draft picks that were all drafted in the 5th round out of Cincinnati. Trent Cole, Brent Selleck, and Jason Kelsey.
I think Kelsey was actually even a 6th, which is impressive. But
yeah, but like 5th, 6th round.
Drafting everybody from Cincinnati because that's your best bet.
Yeah, but
there you
what
go.
it tells me is this. Andy Reid was guessing. Andy Reid had no idea. He didn't do his homework. He had Cheeseburger Fridays or whatever it is. This guy was garbage. He was terrible. And in the end, you saw he was making decisions on a whim. I'm so happy he's gone. I don't have to ever worry about Andy Reid.
All right. I think that was the largest segment that we've ever had.
Yeah. Well, it was also the largest fuck up in Eagles history, so it makes sense.
All right. So moving on, I assume we're going to do our game picks for this week. Eagles versus Giants Monday Night Football.
All black.
We're changing it for me. I'm going to give you the reason why the Eagles are going to lose every week. And the reason behind that is this. I'm not going to hint that the Eagles can beat the Giants at all, because we all know what happens when the sports gods hear me talk anything positive about my team, because they immediately rip it away from us. Okay? So when we get to me, I will give you why the Eagles will lose.
All right. Austin, you want to go first?
Sure. They win because they have no defense in Eli Manning. That's all I'll say.
What's the score? We got to get a score here.
A score? What was it last year? 27-0?
Yeah.
28-0.
All right, that seems very realistic.
The Giants are trash. I think their defense is bad. I think they're overrated. They almost lost to a really bad 49ers team at home on Sunday night. They're not a good team. That's all I'll say about the Giants.
Okay. I am actually coming up with my pick on spot because I've been going back and forth. I felt like after the win last week and then the Giants struggling with the 49ers that the Eagles would just win, run away with it, this, that. It really depends on who's healthy for the Giants, but it just seems like one of those games where, I don't know, they just get, like, Giants get some lucky shit, and Giants defense plays well, and I mean, they just let up 20-something points to Colin Kaepernick in the worst offense in the NFL, so I think it will be high scoring. But I think it's going to be something like, I don't know, like 34-31 Giants. I think once again, anytime that I explain a Giants win, or an Eagles win so far, it's been no logic behind it. There's really no logic behind this pick. I just feel like the Giants are going to win. It's just a gut feeling.
Yeah.
And I picked the Saints. The Eagles blow out the Saints last week. I think Giants win in a close one. I think that the offenses both do well though, because I don't know. I think that Eli turns the ball over, but it ultimately doesn't matter.
All right, well, I will tell you why the Giants will win, and it is because the Giants are lucky. They're the luckiest franchise that's ever lived. Every pass that Eli Manning hurls up with his eyes closed gets miraculously caught between someone's legs or on someone's helmet or in someone's
in their face mask.
Yeah, whatever needs to happen for the Giants does. The refs, they don't call any penalties on them. They intentional grounding all the time. It never gets called. I think they're fraudulent. I think they're a joke. I think that if the Giants were to not be the luckiest team in the league, they probably wouldn't score a single point against the Philadelphia Eagles because I think that's the difference in talent. But I think that Eli Manning is going to play like a newborn lamb, and he's going to check the ball down every 2 seconds. And I think eventually Billy Davis just is going to adjust enough to do that. D'Amico Ryans is pretty slow. Matched up against Vereen, it's going to create some matchup issues, and eventually we will fall behind what is, losing to a lucky team. But I think we play well. I just happen to think that the Giants are luckier than the Philadelphia Eagles, and
that's what I think too. I don't think it's going to be one of those games where it's like, oh, if they had only done this, it's just going to be like, well, somehow the Giants won.
Well, that was fun. Real quick update: Flyers are up 2-0.
Nice.
Claude Giroux.
She said no, Kane. She said no.
Claude Giroux scored an even strength goal.
I'll take it with a C.
It is. I'm about to flip it back on.
Signing off.
Hot takes.